viewers, you're welcome to the maiden edition of Ladies Hangout. It's a platform where we discuss issues affecting women, and it's brought to you by Help Motherland International. My name is Deborah Onweke. I'm the director of HMI Ladies today, and we've been blessed with the opportunity of having these lovely ladies, Atiqah and Diana, who will introduce themselves better. Thank you. So, Atiqah, please.
Okay, so my name is Atiqah Abdul. Thank you for being here and joining us here today. I'm from Singapore, and I am the Director of Sponsorship and Strategic Partnership here at HMI.
Okay, so I am Diana Abeka, the General Secretary for HMI, and I'm Ghanaian.
All right, so thank you so much, ladies, and thank you so much, our beautiful viewers, for joining us today. So, well, before we get into the discussion proper, we want to make a disclaimer that every information we'll be given here is for general purpose, like just general nature, please. So we do not expect anyone to take this information as medical advice. If you have any issues concerning, anything we're going to be discussing here, please go see your doctor. But we hope that out of the stuffs we're going to be discussing here today, we hope that you'll get something useful from it. So our theme today is premenstrual syndrome, and we're going to start with Atiqah, please. So you can tell us a bit what's premenstrual syndrome.
So premenstrual syndrome, as the name suggests, premenstrual syndrome or PMS is a group of physical, mood-related, and behavioral changes that occur regularly or in a cyclic manner, and it usually occurs between a week or two before the beginning of your periods. So it is important to note that PMS is not your periods. So it will begin a week or two before the periods. It will usually resolve with the beginning of your periods, but it will certainly end before the end of your periods. So PMS is important to differentiate between this the difference between PMS and the more severe form, PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which Diana will shed a little more light on a little later. But before we dive deeper into PMS, I think it's really important to understand what the menstrual cycle is. Like, what is it? Is it really necessary that we go through this discomfort, this pain, the nuisances that comes with all of it? And I believe that nothing is created in vain. So the menstrual cycle also serves a purpose, which basically means it is so that women can get pregnant. So our uterus, much like us women, like to be prepared. So under the regulation of hormones, especially estrogen and progesterone, the uterus, a lining is created in the uterus just in case we need a safe spot for the baby, right? Exactly. But in case that fertilization does not occur, we realize that we don't need this lining, and so the uterus will start to shed the lining. And the shedding of this lining is when you start to bleed. So simply put, the beginning of your bleeding is the day one of your menstrual cycle. The typical length of a menstrual cycle is between 21 to 35 days with an average of 28. And the menstruation itself, the bleeding itself, lasts around 2 to 7 days. So, yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, Atiqah. That was really, really informative. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is like going into a bit more detailed explanation of what PMS is, as premenstrual syndrome, and that's going to be done by Diana here. She's going to tell us exactly what's premenstrual syndrome, when does it happen, how you get, why, and all of that, and also the cause of premenstrual syndrome. I know you want to know about that, so let's get into it.
All right, thank you so much. So as rightly said by Atiqah, PMS is premenstrual syndrome. And ladies, viewers out there, this is so real, and it is common. We have about 70 to 80% of women experiencing this 7 to 14 days prior their menstruation or period. And we have about 5 to 10% of these ladies experiencing the intense and severe form. So now the question is, what actually causes PMS? I know you want to know that. So what actually causes PMS? I know there are so many theories and so many explanations out there, but the actual cause of PMS is unknown, unfortunately. But then there are some connections and there are some links to what actually causes it when it comes to hormonal imbalance. As she rightly mentioned, in our menstrual cycle or during the menstruation, we have some hormones that regulate our period, which is the estrogen and the progesterone, the main ones. And these two, their imbalance in these two hormones actually causes the symptoms that we experience 7 to 14 days before our menses. And so this imbalance actually causes some changes in endorphin, which is the mood hormone, which that is why most ladies experience anxiety, depression during that phase or that period of PMS. And also, this imbalance actually increases the level of aldosterone, which is a hormone that draws more sodium and water. So most ladies experience bloating and also some swelling of the feet. Atiqah will actually throw more light on that. And one more thing, it also causes changes in the level of prolactin. That is how come we have some heaviness of breast and also pain. The breast becomes more sensitive. And for the PMS, okay, we also have other causes or other factors that influence PMS, like what we take in. For instance, when we take in caffeine, we take in salty foods, we take in alcohol, tobacco. All these things have influence on the manifestation of PMS. And so we have to really, really check our diet. We have to also be stress-free around that period in order not to experience, severe or worsen PMS. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Diana. She really, broke it down for us, and I believe you know more about PMS and its symptoms. So, our beautiful viewers, we want to also tell you or ask you to send in your questions if you have any questions about premenstrual syndrome, anything you're not sure of, just write it or leave it in the comment section. And then after some time later, we'll be able to discuss it, hopefully. Thank you very much. So we're still going to be talking about the symptoms and want to go a bit deeper into it, like more about it, because what Diana said is not all there is to it. So Atiqah is going to be helping us also with more of the symptoms. Thank you, Atiqah.
Thank you, Debbie. So sometimes you may not even be aware of the symptoms that you have. And I think that most of the times the people around you are the first to notice this change of character, if you will, that you experience, the mood, because they usually are the ones who fall victim to your mood swings and to your aggression sometimes. So what's really unique about the premenstrual syndrome is that each woman present with her own constellation of symptoms. So, and these symptoms can range in intensity, in character, in duration, from day to day, from month to month, and even from year to year. So what I mean by that is that, for example, if I experience sore breasts this month, does not necessarily mean that I felt it last month. Or, for example, the crampings that I have today may be more severe than I felt it yesterday, and that's okay. So it's important to note that there are over 200 symptoms that are attributed to PMS. And like I mentioned before, PMS is a group of physical, mood-related, and behavioral changes. So we have a wide variety of different symptoms. We have physical symptoms, what we call somatic symptoms. And as Diana has rightly pointed out, we have the most common being abdominal bloating and lethargy. You feel very, very fatigued during this period. Also, other somatic symptoms are, like I mentioned, sore breast, tenderness. It feels slightly more firm, and it's actually painful at times, right? And women complains of, breakouts, acne, pimples of the sorts. You have indigestion problems, back aches. You even have dizziness and headaches. But that is the physical symptoms. But I think that a lot of women really usually notice the behavioral symptoms, the behavioral changes, what we call affective symptoms. So these symptoms include like a more depressed mood. We find that it's hard for us to concentrate. We find that we feel low all the time. We can't perform as well as we normally do. We find that our appetite changes, it increases. We crave for things that we usually don't. We crave for sweet things, some crave for salty things. I'm guilty of the sweet things. Yeah, and we feel as though sometimes we don't feel like hanging out with people. We don't want to socialize, and that's part of it. That's that, and it's real, right? So it's okay. What else? And also, another favorite of mine is you feel lacrimose. It's a $5 word for always wanting to cry for no reason. I'm guilty of that too. So that's also part of the many, many symptoms of PMS.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Atiqah. That was really a huge one. Really, ladies, we're strong, you know, we're strong, we're strong. Yeah. And I want to encourage you viewers, just in case next time your friend is probably, giving you that attitude, just let her be. Maybe she's having premenstrual syndrome. Be very understanding with how you get. So yeah, that's that. Now, earlier we talked about PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and which is kind of a more severe form of premenstrual syndrome. So we want to know the difference between premenstrual syndrome and PMDD. And Diana's going to be helping us, explain like what are the symptoms, what symptoms would someone see or would someone experience to know that, oh, I have PMDD or I have PMS. So.
Okay, so for before we can put a diagnosis of PMS, the woman or the patient should present with any of the symptoms that Atiqah rightly mentioned, in 3 consecutive cycles, not just one, but the patient or the woman should experience these symptoms at least 3 consecutive cycles. And also, for PMDD, as you rightly said, it is the premenstrual dysphoric disorder. This is just the severe and intense form of PMS. And it's in order to put the diagnosis, we actually have a criteria which has been outlined in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorder, Edition 4. Yes. Edition 4. So before we can put that, you have to definitely see a specialist. And so before you can put the diagnosis of PMDD, what they do normally is the lady presents with any of the symptoms of PMS, as she said, plus one core of about 4 that I know of PMDD. That is depression, anxiety, and anhedonia. That's a new word I even learned today, which means that the patient or the woman or the one suffering from this doesn't feel like doing anything, is not interested in any activity. Exactly. And the last one is irritability and irritability. Everything just annoys her. So if you have these symptoms or if you are experiencing these symptoms that we've made mention of, please see your specialist. Please see your gynecologist. Please see a doctor. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Diana. Whoa, what was the criteria? I think she said it was so long and huge. Please don't be scared of it, okay? It's not for you, it's for the doctor. You get it. It's kind of should I say guideline for the doctor to put a diagnosis. So yours is just to go see a doctor if you have concerns. All right? Okay. Now we've checked a bit. Please don't forget to drop your questions if you have any. But if you don't, then that means we're all on the same page, eh? All right. So So yeah, we talked about a lot about all those huge words: PMS, premenstrual syndrome, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and all of that. Now, what's your own take about it? I mean, like, what are you supposed to do? Now, if you have any of the symptoms, of course, I think we already mentioned it, that the symptoms, you should kind of keep a diary, kind of like if you want to know for sure if this is something that affects you. Now, we've mentioned the symptoms, and some of them were bloating, some of them were mood swings, you get irritability, depression, anxiety, and all of that. You want to, okay, for instance, maybe from this month, you already have a day, you already know the day you see your period or when your period starts. Say like 2 weeks or a week before that, when you start seeing any of the symptoms we mentioned, you want to keep a diary and say, okay, this month, this day, I started seeing this kind of symptom. You get, maybe I started feeling really low. You get, or start craving for sweet things so much that I wouldn't do normally. So you want to do that. And then the next month, that's the next cycle, you want to do the same thing and see your symptom, mind you, may be different. It may not be the same thing. That's one thing about PMS. But by the next month or next cycle, you want to put that also in check. So like Diana said, 3 consecutive cycles. If you see that you're having any of the symptoms, then you may want to say, oh, maybe I have PMS. You get. Now, PMS, we want to talk about managing PMS. Because, of course, to every problem, at least most problems, there are solutions. So we are grateful that to this issue, it's a solution. Now, I want to say something. It's not a disease per se, you get. It's not something that's, okay, you say, oh, it's a disease, we're going to cure it or something, you get. Though there are some radical ways to deal with it if it's severe. But right now, we're just trying to deal with PMS that's just normal PMS, you get. Some of the cyclic changes that happen in a woman some weeks before her period, before she sees her period. So it's like management, actually. We're trying to see how can you manage it? How can you help your symptoms that it doesn't become incapacitating, that you can't do anything. Your life is like almost, oh gosh, that kind of feeling. So, so ways that you can work on it, and help it get better, that it doesn't get so bad. So yeah, for one of the tips, like I mentioned earlier, we talked about it when we're making the disclaimer that we're not going to give medications, no prescriptions, please, because here we're just trying to give a general overview and just a general information to you. So if you have concerns, of course, you go see your doctor for specific treatment that can be particular to you and your condition. But for now, I'm just going to give some tips that's going to help you manage it properly. And the first thing is exercise. Yeah, there is a whole thing about exercise, blah, 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 and all that. One thing I want you to know, that in case if you don't know it already, anyways, that exercise is not just for keeping in shape. It's not just for having packs and not just for having, figure 8 and all of that. Nah, exactly, summer body and all of that. It's more than that. You get it's necessary for the normal metabolism in your body to occur, the normal functioning of your body. Exercise is very, very important. And one of the reasons for that is the release of endorphins that happens when you exercise. Now, what are endorphins? They are like hormones, and usually they're hormones that's similar to morphine. I guess you must have heard about morphine. Those opioids. Yeah. And they have yeah, exactly, painkillers. They have an analgesic effect and also sedative effect. But the difference between morphine and endorphin, of course, you see them fin, you get. Endorphin is endogenous. It's inside you. The body produces it, unlike morphine, which you take from outside, you get. So endorphin is inside, and of course, most of the things our bodies produce, it's good for us, you get. So endorphin, another difference between endorphin and morphine is that endorphin does not give you the addictive effect that morphine gives, you get. So you won't have that form of addiction, you won't have that form of dependence on it. Unlike morphine, that of course one gets, really exactly addicted, attached to it, and it becomes a problem. Well, for endorphin, it's beautiful that the creator has made us that way, that something good from inside us, it comes, it's inside us, I guess. So back to endorphin. I already talked about it being a sedative and also an analgesic, and then it helps with the sleep. Ooh, you feel so good, like there's this sensation in your head. I don't know what part of it, maybe it's the side, like you have this very, very, very smooth feeling, especially after an exercise. Like if you've had a good exercise and you enjoyed it, maybe it's a sport you enjoy doing. I enjoy badminton, so like when you've done all of that, your blood is high and everything. It has that feel good, sensation it gives you. That's endorphin working, actually. So next time when that happens, say, hey endorphin, I see you. All right, so that's one part about it. And then I already talked about its effect on sleep. So usually it's a very good way to handle stress. Yeah, when endorphin is released, it helps your body, relax. Yeah, and helps your normal homeostasis in the body. So another thing aside exercise is, and why it's really important, because stress is a risk factor for PMS. All right. Stress is a risk factor for PMS. So if you're able to handle stress, you'll be able to have like a less severe symptom of PMS. You get that? All right. So right now we're still on management. You get it? So don't go anywhere. Just stay there. We're gonna have a commercial break. Right? See ya.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Lev. I'm back again. This is MENTIASIE TV. Keep watching. And shout out to the big man behind this TV, man. The big man crew. Man's moving from Ghana to Ukraine to all over the world, man. So I just want you to keep watching MENTIASIE TV, because I know they might have lots more. It's a big man with a big vision, man, and with a big heart. So keep watching MENTIASIE TV. Shout out, guys. Peace.
MENTIASIE TV super. 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 MENTIASIE TV super.
welcome back, our beautiful viewers. Hope you enjoyed your break. We did enjoy ours. Okay, so now we're talking about management of PMS, and we were talking about endorphins and its importance. So yeah, in conclusion about endorphins, it really is very useful in maintaining this. And since it's gotten from the body, we have to do things that will stimulate its production. So other things besides exercise can be having a good laugh. You know, when you laugh with your friends and all that stuff, you just just feel a sensation. It makes you feel good. Also listening to good music. You know, doing something you enjoy doing. Maybe going for a massage. Again. All those things just make you feel good and helps you. So the next tip is going to be eating healthy. You can't overemphasize that either. I mean, what you put inside of you. You can expect to put trash in you and expect something good. Yeah. So it's necessary for you to eat well, because even not just for the sake of PMS, for the sake of your overall health, your total well-being, you need to eat well, healthy. Okay. Yeah. So, things we would advise you to stay away from as regards PMS is going to be caffeine, it's going to be salt and sugar. Now, caffeine in particular, it's not, for certain, it's not known the connection between caffeine and PMS. But studies have shown that women who take caffeine have PMS. But it's not known if that's the direct connection. But for your good, you know, if you're having severe symptoms, you may want to stay away from caffeine, like say 1 or 2 weeks before your period starts. You get, so that you can help your symptoms maybe can get better. Yeah, and then also salt and sugar. Yeah, you want to stay away from those two. And caffeine. Just you can do it. You can do it. You don't have to stay away from it like totally, like you're going to eat food without salt.
Like reduce.
Yeah, maybe you just want to like reduce. Yeah,
the around your cycle.
Yeah,
You have to
just to help your symptoms like
Exactly.
get better. Then also you want to aside the food part, also you want to get enough rest. Because you just can't overemphasize that. Really, your brain needs rest. And the issue about PMS also, it's also neurological. Like it has connections with the brain and all that. So that's why stress is a very huge risk factor for having that, and also depression. If one already has depression, the person may have very severe symptoms of PMS. So you want to try and do things that can help you relax, try and avoid stress during this period also, so you don't complicate your symptoms. And another thing that you can do is to maybe talk to someone if you're feeling really depressed, if you feel you may want to talk to someone and get it off your chest, or just go do something that will make you feel happy, good things actually.
Exactly.
Exactly. Also, yeah. And I think basically those are like some of the things we can give. And concerning medications, like we said before, we can prescribe medications. You have to see a doctor to help you get the right prescriptions. So that's that for management, and we do hope you got something from this. So right now, what we're going to do is try to entertain the questions we've had so far, and thank you so much for sending in your questions. That means that you're communicating with us like you with us. So thank you, we appreciate that. So we're going to try and answer the questions, right? So Diana, please you help us with the first question.
Okay. All right. But then before the question, right, I'd like to add that it's advisable that we ladies track our menstrual cycle. As Debby said, she said we can keep a diary, but then if you are very lazy and you think you might forget when to write down, you can just get an app. You can go to App Store if you're using an iPhone. You can go to Play Store if you're using Android and download an app. There is one called Calendar. You can just have that, and you'll be tracking your menses and know when to abstain from certain food, when to sleep more, and when to do all that. Yes,
it's true. If I may add, I use the app Clue. It's called Clue, CLUE, and I think it's nice because when you kind of note it down and you realize you see the pattern, and kind of acknowledging the fact that it's happening kind of puts you at ease. So you're not really confused what's going on in my body, what's going on to you, and it helps to just acknowledging the fact that it's happening can really calm that anxiety that you get with PMS.
So I just want to add something also. The way we've been talking about PMS, some people, though a very minute percentage of people, do not experience PMS. So if you're looking at yourself and you're like, all this it's alien to me, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And if you're experiencing it, there's nothing wrong with you. Just part of the cycle. We're just trying to see how to manage it and not get it let it get worse. You get
Exactly. So the questions. The first one is, with menses beginning, I know these pathological signs such as abrupt irritability, pain in breast, etc. decrease and then disappear. So it means the signs decrease and then disappear. Question: is it normal to encounter these signs through menses or it's stop? I don't really get it, but say, is it normal to encounter these signs through menses? So let's answer the first part. Okay, Dr. Atiqah, go ahead.
Okay, so regarding that question, thank you so much for that question. The premenstrual syndrome, like we've said before, is usually before the beginning of the periods. However, it usually resolves when the period starts, but in certain cases, it may even continue until the end of your periods. So don't be too afraid, too anxious. Just relax. I think being anxious is part of what makes it so severe. Sometimes I think we tend to make it such a big deal, sometimes, which it is. It may be, but
yeah. And if you have concerns, just go see a doctor, okay? And you'll be fine. All right. So any other questions?
Well, no. So that was it. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for coming in. I mean, is there a question?
No, hold on. I think the name of the person. Should we give some shout outs to some people?
Oh,
yes.
Sure.
Those watching, I can see Pope Okran. We see you. Thanks for joining us. Senior Sonava Kweku Rocky. We see you. Thank you. Rivu Nyogi. Marie Anka. Navneet Kaur. We see you. Bagdodu. Hey boy. Who else? And Moat Al-Momani. Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And I think Diana has something to say about HMI.
Okay. All right, so I know some of us will be wondering, what's HMI? And, well, HMI is Help Motherland International, and it is a non-governmental organization. And currently, we help or we organize practical classes for students, medical students, to have some kind of hands-on experience, out of the classroom, normally on Saturdays. And by God's grace, we are extending to other cities. It's in Ivano, Frankips, it's in, Ternopil and other cities. And hopefully, we will be coming to your city, so watch out. And, we also organize conferences, international medical conferences, whereby we have facilitators coming from the States. Yeah, they are well experienced, skillful, and all. And this year, we had the first one, and hopefully next year, around April, we'll be having another. Next year. So, stay tuned and you should subscribe. You know what? You should join this big family. HMI is ready to welcome you.
All right. So, thank you very much. Atiqah, do you want to say something? Just sign up. Something you want to say?
So, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the questions. We hope that you got something out of this, something beneficial, hopefully. And we hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. And we do not take for granted all the people that joined in. To Ivano-Frankivsk, Ukraine, hello. Nigeria, hello. Ghana, hello. Singapore, hello. Australia, hello. What other country am I missing? India, hello. Where again? Zambia. Everywhere.
Congo, the States.
Everywhere. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Ladies Hangout, brought to you by HMI. And special thanks to all lovely ladies who joined us today, Atiqah and Diana. Thanks.
For joining us.
All right. Thank you. Special thanks to the crew. Thanks to the man behind the camera. Thanks to Dr. Nemo. Thanks to everyone who's made this really, really, important and possible. Thank you. And special thanks to Mentiasie. All right, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Do like, comment, share, subscribe, everything you want to do. Exactly. All right, so till next time, I am Deborah. Bye.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's me, Lev. I'm back again. This is MENTIASIE TV. Keep watching and shout.